you're probably one of like the few. You probably have more content online. I was just thinking about it, like as far as video content, than most human beings. I would say you're in a pretty smart percentile because your online courses. I would assume that there's more video of you online talking directly to a camera or your voice if it's, screen capture stuff than most other humans. Like, you know what I mean? So what has been your process? I'd love for you to just kind of touch on a little bit of yeah, kind of your conveyor belt process as a video creator, as you are as an online teacher. What have you found over the years that really hones in your Ford assembly line video
Yeah,
creation?
yeah. I think that's really interesting is, right, I mean, like, if I was just committed to doing the content, I think that's exactly it. It's just having a conveyor belt and you're just running through the process. For me, it went through different stages, but at every point there was a predictable process of how I did things. Like with the first courses that I was doing a screen capture and right, I didn't know anything about video or anything like that. I was uh, like I recorded on my Apple earbuds. There was no pop filter. You could still hear it in that first course that I did. But even then, there was a process of, okay, first I'm going to write an outline, then I'm going to record myself, then I'm going to make the illustrations, and then I'm going to play the recording and um, over like the screen capture and hit next on the keynote so it goes to the next slide to match the voice. So there was a process to it rather than like, okay, let me just finish one video and then let me finish the next video, right? It was like, no, first let me write all of the scripts, then let me write all of the record all of the audio, then let me make all of the keynotes, and then let me screen capture all of it. So there's a predictable process that every course would go through. And then later on, right, when I wanted to start having myself on camera, I'm like, what's the process going to be? And at first, I'm like, okay, I need to learn video editing and I need to know, right? I don't have that expertise like you do. And then I just came to, I'm like, no, what are the things that I'm good at? And I'm like, I'm not good at video editing. I'm not good at using a camera and stuff like that myself, nor do I think that I need to be. I'm like, for me personally, it makes sense to make part of my process to have somebody come in and record me and get the videos edited and so forth. Um, and right then that process became, okay, I'm going to write the scripts. But the most important part was that I would schedule the video person to come before I'd even started writing the scripts, right? Before I was even ready, before I'm like, and it always seemed like an impossible deadline, 3 weeks away. And just having that
Mm-hmm.
deadline that I'd already paid someone to be there and they were going to be there, right, made it so much um,
Mm-hmm.
more real. And even the course that we did together, it was the same thing, right? We were going to right Rod's office and we were using his teleprompter and all those things. There was no option to change the date. So that was something else. If there's some way that you could put a deadline that feels real that you can't break, that's been an invaluable resource for me. Um, but then I think the other part is, yeah, having like clear on paper, here's step one, here's step two, here's step three, and not going to step two until you finish step one in the process. I think the last thing is getting really clear on what are your strengths and focusing on your strengths, and as much as possible having others do the things that you're not, whether it's others or automation tools that can offload that from you, you know,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
is so important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. And more on the content side, I've seen you definitely like really active on Instagram these days. So on the content side, like what's your kind of thought process on sharing your passion, your teachings, your voice on a platform like Instagram? What's been your kind of thought process on that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thought process, obviously, I think regardless of what you do, is if you're focused on how do I deliver value and really, like it's very easy to say, but do you actually feel that in your heart that I'm coming here to deliver service? That changes the frame for everything. But personally, right, there's so many platforms to keep up on, and I also have a membership where I release a new video every day. So I'm like, it just feels right. So that's a ton of content. I've done 300 yes, Friday was 365 this 365th video that I was delivering every Monday to Friday without fail for over the last year. Um, but again, that becomes a challenge. You have so many platforms to keep up on. So for me, I think one of the biggest things is how do I repurpose that content? Even if I'm recording a new video for Instagram, for example, but I'm like, how do I take a piece out of what I've already written for the membership? Or I send out emails to my email list that aren't already members. How do I take a 1 minute, right, a powerful 1 minute out of that 5 minute video and put it in text and email and send that out? Or if I'm doing a YouTube video, how do I take I take 5 of my membership videos and let me take one takeaway that I've already written from each and put them together in one YouTube video that's different than the original, but is still pulled from the original because it's not doable for me to create, right, all of these things separately. So I think that's one of the most important things.
Nice. I love that you're remixing your own work because we talk about remixing and emulation in this course, where we take other people's content and their work, take their original idea and remix it into something brand new. But it's fun. It's cool. You're repurposing and making new montages because you've done the same with courses too, where you kind of repackage, and that's totally acceptable and totally something that it's a new way to offer value, and you're kind of creating more bang for your buck with your own time, with your own content, while still giving back to other people, which is great. And so, just to kind of wrap up, yeah,
One
like
thing I
I'd
want to
love
say,
to kind
one thing I want to say about that
of,
is something that I wrote down in like my plan to read is how do you how do you do something that like you want your any work to do you do to not like any time you spend is an investment, right? And you want it to pay you back returns on the time you spend, whether it's time with family, you want it to pay you back in fulfillment and deeper relationships, whether it's in your work, you want it to pay you back in, money that just, recurring money or recurring streamlining things or whatever it is. And I think that it's the same thing here is anything that you do, how do you do it so it gives you a return for a long period of time? So, for example, if I'm going to respond to an email, like a customer service email, I could respond to that email myself, or I could record a video of me responding to that email and send it to my customer service person and be like, hey, when we get an email like this is how you respond. One pays me back immediately, one pays me back for a longer period of time. And I think it's the same thing with the content is how do you take that one piece of content and make it give you as much bang for your buck for a long period of time? And the maximum return comes when you don't just use it once for one thing that people see and forget about, but then how do you take a quote from that and put it on a different platform or put it in an email or turn many of your free videos into a free course that you put somewhere else or there's so many things and you just want to ask, how do I take the work that I'm doing once to give me a lot of leverage instead of a little bit of leverage?
yeah, I've done the same, exactly the same as well, of like repurposing my YouTube content, doing 1 minute cut downs for Instagram, and then repurposing the online video content and the courses and making it more applicable to YouTube. And yeah, it is really about maximizing your, and especially when it comes to video content, because like content is king right now and it will be for some time. And it's like, yeah, to really build your audience and to grow as much as possible, it's like the consistency with the releasing and trying to spread your net as wide as possible by creating as much video content as possible. Yeah, it's definitely key. And so just to kind of wrap up, I love all the notes and points that you talked on, but what is kind of like maybe a final juicy, piece of advice, piece of motivation, something you feel like sharing for any of the video creators listening?
Yeah, and most of these creators will be on camera themselves, right? Yeah, and I think one of the most important things is being in a centered place yourself before you show up on camera and knowing what is it for you that gets you in that place. I think for both of us, right, meditation and yoga and things are things that get it, even if it's just like a 3 minute, breath technique, but completely changes how we show up and allows us to come from the heart, which is important for us. And I think for everybody else asking, what are the first of all, who am I when I'm at my best, my most enthusiastic, my most connected? And what can I do as a ritual before showing up on camera to show up as that version of me? Whether it's a 3 minute breath technique or whether it's playing a song in your headphones and just dancing or whatever it is. But I think it's having some sort of ritual beforehand that gets you to show up as the person that you want to show up as for other people.
I love that. Yeah, I do a little stretching before. Always a stretch, like a back stretch. I'll have to put that in a different course. So like my pre-filming rituals. Awesome, Brandon. Well, I really appreciate it. We will definitely link everything to Insider School and to all of your platforms and profiles. So thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your knowledge.
Yeah, thank you, Julian.
Yeah, you got it, man. All right, peace.
Peace.